Hello everyone and welcome to another casual review. Today I will be talking about Super Mario 3D World. Woohoo! I got the Switch version of this game as a Valentine's gift, and this came bundled with Bowser's Fury. If you're more interested in Bowser's Fury, I already did a casual review for that, so please go check it out. Today I will just be solely talking about Super Mario 3D World. And as far as the Wii U library goes, I want to say I've played almost all of them besides maybe Splatoon, and this was actually one of the gaps in my experience. So I was pretty excited to play through this one, especially because now I can play it on the go, which was really nice. I have heard tons of good things about this game ever since its release, and I've just never really been appealed to the more linear style of Mario. While I will say I appreciate the gameplay of this game, I definitely like the more sandboxy 3D Mario gameplay akin to Super Mario Odyssey compared to something like this, where you do end up ultimately going towards a goalpost. So I was always, like, this game was always on my radar, but I was never too inclined to go out and buy this game at full price. I know, or at least I think that this is a Nintendo Select for the Wii U, but I'm just an on-the-go gamer through and through, so I've never been too inclined to get the Wii U version of this game. So definitely a good opportunity that this came out and I was able to play on my Nintendo Switch. I talked about this in my Bowser's Fury casual review, but I was never too sold on the whole Cat Mario theme. I thought it was just such a dumb idea, and then I finally did play Bowser's Fury, and I ended up falling in love with Cat Mario and the cat suit, the cat power-ups. It is so awesome. Cat Mario is definitely a lot better than something like the Flying Squirrel power-up. It's just so fun to play through, and the melee attack is definitely pretty nice. Being able to climb up walls is really almost overpowered when you think about it. It almost lets you just skip whole parts of things just because you can climb up on the walls. Another power-up that I really like in this game is the Cherry power-up. Now, this game is also in Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, but I didn't really talk about it too much there. The Cherry power-up is just so cool because, like, when you think about it, you can, when you get it, it basically makes like a duplicate version of you, and you are also controlling that version at the same time. And on the surface, it doesn't sound that exciting, but when you add like a Fire Flower power-up or like the Boomerang power-up, and you're just controlling like 5 Marios all with the fire flowers, and you're just blasting down enemies with it, it ends up being a lot more exciting than it really looks. Like, just playing through it, being able to play all those characters at once is a real blast, and I hope that the Cherry power-up makes a reoccurrence in future Mario games. I think it would actually be a pretty cool power-up in Mario Kart. I think they would like be able to drive like 2 kart drivers side by side with each other. I think it would be a pretty cool power-up there. I just hope that it makes a reoccurrence. I don't believe it made an occurrence in Super Mario Odyssey, so I just hope that they don't forget about this Cherry power-up, because it actually is really cool. One of the features in this game is you can store up power-ups. Now, it isn't quite as generous as it is in Bowser's Fury, where you can get 5 of each power-up. This one is just 1 power-up. So if you kind of think of the Super Mario World, the Super Nintendo game, it's like that, where you can store an extra power-up, and then you can just activate it to drop down on your character whenever you want, and then whatever power-up you currently have goes into the storage system, so it's nice that way. Like, let's say there are certain green stars hidden throughout the level, and you would need certain power-ups to access those green stars. Usually it's like a cat power-up that you need because they're like stored up high on the wall, and so it's nice to have a cat bell stored up whenever you need it. Also, in order to fully complete this game, you need to reach the top of the flagpole at each level, and so having the cat power-up stored up for when you're going to that flagpole is nice, because you kind of climb up the flagpole to get to the top. So if you're not sure if you can really make a jump, you just pop up that cat bell, climb up the flagpole, easy peasy. And it's just nice being able to store that extra power up and use it while you're in the middle of a level, rather than like most traditional 2D Mario games. It's like you have to use the power up before you enter the level. I'm actually surprised that not all the enemies are cats. So I played Bowser's Fury first, obviously, because it was the new hotness, and all the enemies in that that game are cats. I didn't really talk about this because I assumed this would be the case in Super Mario 3D World, where the birds are cats and the Goombas are cats, the piranha plants are cats. I just thought that was the aesthetic of this game as well, but no, that's unique to just Bowser's Fury, so I'm pretty surprised there. There were a couple enemies that did have the cat ears. I'm pretty sure you come across the Goomba cats, but I really wish that they catted it up all the way in this game. Mario moves pretty good. I like the way Mario moves, very quick and snappy, like in Super Mario Sunshine. This may just be in my head, but it feels like I can only move in 8 directions rather than like this full 360 scope. It really feels like if I was playing on the GameCube controller, you know how it has like those notches, those 8-directional notches. It feels like those are the only directions that Mario can move. No triple jump, which I am pretty disappointed at. It has a lot of cool jumps in this game, but for some reason they just didn't have the triple jump, and they brought this back in Super Mario Odyssey. I'm just surprised that they did away with it at all, because the triple jump is just like a staple of Mario. Other than the lack of the triple jump, Mario does have a lot of cool moves. He has the roll. He has this dive that I thought was unique to Super Mario Odyssey, where like you can do this thing where you do the ground pound jump, bounce off the wall, and then you do like a little dive to get to high places. I thought that was unique to Odyssey, but no, you can actually do it in this game, and I didn't realize it while I was playing through Bowser's Fury, but it does have it in that mode as well. He's got his spin jump, his long jump, his aerial. There's a lot of different movements for Mario. I actually do like the Mario run, how like if you're going through a certain, like if you're running for a certain distance, then you get this little spark behind you and you immediately start running faster rather than the ramp up. I actually like the burst of speed rather than the ramp up. One thing that I do have a gripe about is whenever Mario falls from a certain height, when he hits the ground, he does this little like, ha-ha, like this ta-da move where he raises his arms in the air, and it just stops all momentum completely for like at least a second. And it doesn't sound like that big of a deal when I'm talking about it, but I don't like mechanics in 3D platformers where it just halts the movement. And I really wish I could just jump from this huge cliff, land on the ground, and just keep on running with that momentum rather than just stopping and going, ta-da! The collectibles in this game are pretty fun to get. I mentioned the green stars. The green stars are kind of like the big coins in a traditional 2D Mario game. There's 3 hidden in each level, and I do like finding those. They didn't rely on hidden walls like they have in previous Mario games, which I really appreciate. They're genuinely fun to go for, but they aren't frustrating. There was only a few times that I actually had to look up where these green stars are. Most of the time I could get them in my first playthrough. As long as you're exploring every nook and cranny, you'll be able to find them. There are a couple cases where you only have one shot to get the green star, and if you mess up, then you just have to die or repeat the level, which is a bummer. One of the other collectibles to get are the stamps. Now, this was a feature in the Wii U, the whole Miiverse kind of thing. It was like a social media thing where if you get a stamp, it's just like this picture that you can post in the PictoChat equivalent. I'm sorry, I never really used the Miiverse on the Wii U, but the Twilight Princess HD game had these stamps as well. You could unlock them through dungeons. And in this game, it's just like this sticker page of stamps, and you can use these stamps in the picture mode of Mario, which I didn't really use that much, but it is an option. It is some sort of functionality for the stamps rather than just writing them off completely. So hidden throughout most of the levels are these stamps, 1 in each level, and they're fun to go for. It's just like usually it's a picture that pertains to the certain level functionality. So let's say you play through a level that mainly uses the Fire Flower power-up. Odds are the stamp is going to be a fire flower or like Mario shooting a fireball, something like that. So it's kind of fun to go for. And then the last collectible through each level you want to go for is the top of the flagpole. It is kind of frustrating when you beat the level and you, for some reason or another, you don't get to the top of the flagpole and you have to play through the whole level again to do it. But most of the time it isn't actually that hard to get to the top. Usually a long jump will get you there from a platform, unless it's being a tricky level. Like sometimes for like Boo levels, it turns out that the flagpole moves slightly. You know, it's like the Boo's messing with you kind of thing. Other than that, usually you can get to the top of it. I didn't see any benefit to getting all the green stars or the stamps or the top of the flagpoles. It didn't seem like it gave you any bonus thing, although you are required to get a certain amount of green stars to progress throughout the game. Usually there'll be stop gates saying, hey, in order to play through this level, you need 180 green green stars. And if you don't have that amount of stars, I guess you just don't get to progress or play those levels. So that is one reason to collect them. I didn't see any actual tangible reward for getting them all, though. I think the only thing that shows up is on your save file. You get these little stars on your save file depending on all the things that you've completed. Other than that, though, I mean, maybe some of the post-credit content that you get to play through is locked behind getting the green stars, but I did not notice that. Probably because every time I played through a level, I would make sure I completed all the objectives. One thing that I absolutely love, and I talked about this feature in Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, but if you get the collectible and then you die, you still keep the collectible. So it saved me so much frustration because, like, you'd go through this really difficult green star, you'd fall off the edge, and then you get back to the checkpoint, you still have it. You don't have to keep on trying over and over to get that green star and make it back safely. It's so nice, and I wish every game just had this feature from now on. As far as the world itself, it's your typical Mario, but they do try to mix up a couple things. You know, you get your desert level, your ice level, your Bowser level, but throughout these worlds, each of the levels peppered in are not just strictly to that theme. So say you're in the second world and it's like all deserty. That doesn't mean every level in the desert world is going to be desert themed necessarily. They do add a couple of different themes throughout the levels, like there's a whole carnival theme that they like to pepper in there. Just ways to mix it up. Like sometimes there will be like neon levels, which are pretty fun. So it's not, it's not so strictly your typical Mario setting, but they are present. Also, you're not just rescuing Peach again, which I absolutely love. In this game, because Peach is a playable character, think of Super Mario Bros. 2, where you can choose your character, and they each have their own movement controls. So Mario's a good all-around basic character. Luigi, he has this little flutter jump, but he may be a little more slippery. You have Toad, who runs really fast, but can't really jump. And then you have Peach, who does a little hover thing with her dress. So since you can play as Peach, you are rescuing these, I forget the name, they're like Pixies or something like that. It's a mixture between Pixie and Fairy or something like that. Anyways, there's a couple of those that you're trying to rescue. Still from Bowser, he's still the main antagonist, but at least you're not going for, oh, Peach is in another castle kind of thing. Also, another thing I have to commend is it's not the Koopalings in each castle. I complain about this almost every time I play a Mario game where I'm just sick of fighting the Koopalings. In this game, actual unique boss designs. It's not just like a big version of a Koopa either. Like, they are actual unique bosses, which I absolutely love. The music is diverse, it's fun, it's a good soundtrack, it's very like big band kind of music, like lots of trumpets, very catchy music. It's not just your typical Mario song over and over again. Typical like enemies don't stop and do a little dance at the beat. It is just so, it's just a breath of fresh air. I guess it's probably because the new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe is still in my mind, so I'm comparing this game a lot to that, even though they're pretty much separate entities because this is a 3D Mario game. But I just really appreciate the diversity here, rather than just the same enemies, the same music. You know, even just like the typical enemies that you like encounter throughout a normal level are diverse and unique. It's not just your typical Goombas and Koopas all the time. There's a lot of objects that you can interact with as well, which is nice. So like when you get a Koopa shell, you can hide in the Koopa shell and bounce around. This is where the cannon block comes into play. I saw a lot of functionality from this in Super Mario Maker 2, and I thought these things were unique to that game, but apparently they brought a lot of stuff over from Super Mario 3D World. So you get the cannon block that shoots like cannon blasts. You get the clear pipes, and that's clearly from this game. You can carry piranha plants, and they'll eat enemies nearby you for you. Just a lot of interacting with the world and objects, which I came to really appreciate. They mix things up a lot too. It's not just your typical Mario levels all the time. There are a couple times when you ride the Loch Ness monster type creature called Plessy, and these levels were really fun. I really look forward to playing these levels. I wish there was one in every single world, but I want to say you only ride Plessy maybe 3 or 4 times, but it plays the slide music from Mario 64, which is really fun. You know, the da 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 da, but it's like a remix version of that. And riding Plessy was just super fun. My only gripe about that is the whole collectibles thing, where if you miss a collectible, you're gonna have to start over and play through the whole level again trying to get it. But the levels themselves aren't actually too long, so it's really not a big deal trying to replay them over and over again to get all the collectibles that you missed in previous runs. But plus, he's just such a fun character. I hope it isn't a one-time deal. I hope he is reoccurring. So friendly, he'll like wave to you when you leave him, like bye-bye kind of thing. He's just a fun character. One of my gripes about this game are the touch controls. So this really doesn't happen too much. I did complain about this in the Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, where sometimes the game will have you have to touch the touchscreen. I only played this game in handheld, but I think if you're playing in TV mode, you can use the gyro controls, but you have to touch objects to move, like say there will be a neonish purple pinkish block, and in order to get it to move out, in order for you to jump on it, you have to tap on it. So it really doesn't feel good moving your thumbs away from the buttons in order to touch the screen. That never feels good, having to change control schemes in the middle of movement, but it's just something that you kind of have to deal with. I really wish that the handheld mode had the gyro controls with it, so I wouldn't have to take my thumbs off the buttons. Luckily enough, it really didn't happen too much though. There are Captain Toad levels in this game peppered throughout also to mix things up. I guess this is where Captain Toad got his original gameplay, so there are times when you play as him and I'm just like, okay, I got this. I played through all of Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. I know what to do here. They definitely perfected it in his own standalone game, and this one you can't zoom in, so it's pretty hard to see. He does get, I feel like he moves a lot faster in his own game as well compared to this one. It's just more of an experiment where you're trying to get the 5 green stars throughout all the Captain Toad levels. But you can definitely see where they got their inspiration from. Now, I was kind of talking about the collectibles earlier, and I was saying that I was going for every single one, and I did kind of, like, to a point, because it's really dumb. So in order to get all the stamps, I played through all of the levels, and I got all the stamps in all the levels, but there were still 5 empty stamps. And I looked it up, like, what's going on? Are there 5 levels, like secret levels that I missed somehow? But no, apparently to get those stamps, you have to beat every single level with every character. So if you want the Mario stamp, you have to beat every level as Mario. And for the most part, I did do that, but near the end, I was, getting a little bored of playing through Mario. Also, you unlock a secret character post-credits, which I won't talk about here, but I was really excited to play as this character because it's one of my favorite characters in the Mario universe. So I played as this one for most of the post-credit levels, and I don't know, I just didn't want to play through every single level as every single character to get all this, just 5 stamps. It didn't seem worth it to me. So I got every single stamp besides those certain characters. So I guess I didn't technically 100% complete this game, but I did get all the green stars. And that's another thing. There are certain switches throughout the levels. Now, this isn't too common, maybe only like one case for each character. But in certain levels, there are switches that you have to be the corresponding character in order to activate them and get the collectible. Usually this is a corresponding stamp with the character. So for instance, if you go to a Boo Mansion, you might see a switch that has a green L on it. So you need to be playing as Luigi to go and step on this switch to get the Luigi stamp. Usually, like I said, I mostly just played as Mario just because I like the feel of him the best. So I would have to replay the level as the character that the switch wanted me to play as in order to get the collectible. This game has one of the coolest showdowns with Bowser. I love the last level in this one. It was a lot better than just, oh, you gotta sneak under Bowser and hit the power block kind of thing. It was really exciting. I would compare it to the showdown on Super Mario Galaxy, where it was just that exciting, that hyped up. I won't spoil it here because this is kind of a newish game in a way, so I won't talk about it much more than just saying how cool it was and how hyped up I was playing through the final level. It wasn't that difficult, but the very, very, very last level in the post-credit levels, let me explain. After you beat Bowser, there's a ton of extra content to play through. There's 3 other worlds, and each of these worlds has like 20 levels to it. Some of them are like kind of remixes of older levels, but they're not just lazy remixes where it's like, okay, you only can jump on these blocks through this level. Like, it's actually well thought out remixes. So I want to say a good third of the game is after you roll the credits, after you beat Bowser. There's a ton of content left over, and the very final level is called like Champions Road or something like that. And this is pretty common to most Mario games nowadays, where there's like a final challenge. Like every lesson that you learned up to this point is put to the test, and it was so tough. It took me at least 3 or 4 hours just to beat this one level. If you have played through Super Mario Odyssey, you kind of know what I'm talking about, where it's like there's no checkpoints, no mushrooms, nothing like that. If you die, you have to start the whole Champion Road over again. And it was so difficult, but so rewarding when you finally beat it. It was so exciting. Like, you almost get in this zen-like state playing it over and over again, where like you just master the road up to the difficult point that you're at. So if someone is watching and you're playing through like the first 5 minutes of this Champion Road after trying over and over again, you can just like speed run through it just because you've played through it over and over again trying to beat this freaking level. And it just feels so good when you finally do. You feel so good, so accomplished. You get the little thank you message from Nintendo. Thanks for playing our game, and fireworks. I don't know. It was just a very, very rewarding experience that I typically get discouraged and quit before I get to this point. But for some reason, I just felt compelled to beat the Champions Road, and I'm really glad I did. That being said, I will not be playing through Champions Road with every single character. No way. I have to keep at least some of my sanity. Overall, a wonderful experience. I do think I prefer the Sandbox Mario, but this is just one that you certainly should not sleep on. I think this, bundled up with Bowser's Fury, is actually kind of worth the $60 price point. Normally I don't say that. Normally I say wait for a sale, but it is just a blast, especially if you like 3D platformers. I heartily recommend this one. I can definitely see why everyone was championing this game, especially after the Wii U's life cycle. Everyone was just clamoring for Super Mario 3D World, and I never really got it until now. Like, I always just assumed it was a normal 2D Mario experience, but they actually do a lot to mix up the gameplay, and every level feels fresh and exciting. You're always excited to see what the next level has in store for you. I think I will give this game a 5 out of 5, which is pretty surprising to me. Usually by the time I get to the post-credit content, I am just burnt out of Mario, but in this one, I just actually felt always like compelled to keep pushing forward and keep seeing what the rest of the game had in store for me. So it wasn't ever really a chore to play through this game, which sometimes when I like binge play through a game, I start feeling burnt out after a little while. Like, it kind of overstates its welcome, but I honestly can say that this game never really did. That's it for me though, guys. Let me know if you have any questions or comments about Super Mario 3D World or Bowser's Fury. I'd love to hear what your guys' experiences are, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!